I'm the Executive Director with the Drumheller and District Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to our third Lunch and Learn of 2019, Customer Engagement in the Digital Age. Quick note about today's session, we will be recording, so if you're sitting near the tripod, please keep your conversations to a minimum, please, as it may get picked up on the recording. There will be time for questions at the end with our speakers, so if you have any questions, please save them till the end. I would like to thank today's sponsor, Telus. We have two folks here from Telus today. Lana Barlow, there she is, you moved on me. She is a Senior Regional Market Manager with Telus. Thank you, Lana, for coming out today. And also our speaker today is with Telus. Larry Vanderveen, Senior Business Market Strategy Manager with Telus Broadband Solutions is here. So thank you for joining us, both of you. I'll just give you a few words about Larry before I invite him up here to do his presentation. Since joining Telus in 1997, Larry has held a number of diverse leadership roles across Telus. Highlights include a depth of experience in customer contact centers, to international voice services, to national network strategy. Today, Larry specializes in the evolution of broadband technology as part of Telus' recent launch of a new fiber internet broadband network across Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec. Larry, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All enjoying a really nice day. Spring, summer is here all of a sudden. So it's great to see Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs finished and then it be summer. I don't know about everyone here, but I think the Stanley Cup kind of goes a bit too long. It could finish like a week ago. But anyway, you kind of know that I'm a sports aficionado. I also enjoy getting out in our beautiful environment. Cycling, traveling are some of my passions as well. But on the work side of things, we get to talk about our new shiny network we call our broadband network that we've been building now, Lana, for probably 5-6 years. So we meaning Telus, are in a 10-year build program, roughly, to put in a new fiber broadband network across all of our communities in Alberta and British Columbia and a portion of Quebec. And Drumheller was actually one of our early communities where we deployed fiber. So you guys were sort of, in terms of a fiber broadband speed, upload, download, you probably have speeds here greater than you can get in most parts of Los Angeles or New York. So pretty significant. What we wanted to do today is paint you a kind of a wider picture as to why the heck do we need this brand new shiny fiber network? Why is speed and reliability so critical moving forward for small businesses and consumers and large business? What's changing in the ecosystem on a number of different levels that prompted Telus as a private company to spend multi-millions of dollars here in Drumheller? And our plan is to spend about $7 or $8 billion across that 10-year span to build fiber. So the plan is for us to actually bring a fiber line to each of your premises, whether it's a business or whether it's your residence. And that fiber right to your mechanical room, right into your basement or your panel box, has to be a fiber line, brings you those substantial speeds. You can't just run it down Main Street and then run a copper line to it, because that copper line, even just the 50 or 100 feet, takes the speed from 500 to 50. It's that significant. So that's why we bring a fiber line to your premise. So today, we're going to share with you kind of what's happening in the ecosystem around things, to give you a sense of change and a sense of chance. And when we talk about these two words, technology change does provide small business with the chance to enhance the conversation with your employees, with your suppliers, and with your customers. So it's kind of an exciting thing. It gives you a whole new platform to do things differently. Now, why do we need to do them differently? Well, basic human needs tell us that sometimes we adapt really well to changes in technology. Some of you may have added Wi-Fi and battery to the bottom of the self-actualization pyramid, right? It's critical. I need it. I can't do anything without it. Some of you may say, hey, wait a minute. I'd like a couple of square wheels on the car just to slow the bus down just a little. Give me time to digest all these changes a little bit. So that's okay. You can be, you can adapt a little slower too. But let's start with me and tell you a bit about my family and how they've adapted to technology. So that's my, representation of my mom, my brother, and my nephew. And they consume technology very differently. So for example, if I want to call my mom on the weekend and find out about her latest renovation project in her condo, I phone her on her landline. Because she does have a landline still. She has a cell phone, but it's mostly parked in her glove box of her car in case she's on the road and she needs to call somebody. Now my brother, who's a Rangers fan, boo. If we want to talk hockey, I have to admit I'm a Kings fan, so we chat hockey quite a bit. And he has a smartphone. He doesn't have a landline at home, but I can actually give him a call on his phone or text him. And actually, if I phone him on his phone, his smartphone, he'll actually pick it up, right? My nephew is a different story. He's an outdoor enthusiast, loves to go climbing, hiking out in the woods, that kind of thing. He also has a smart device. But if I call him on his phone, he'll never pick it up, ever. If I text him, I might get a text back half the time. If I ping him on Messenger or Instagram, then I'll usually get a response back. So it's not just about living with technology.
Is that because the texting costs him money?
It's just how they're used to dealing with information. They don't want to talk to people. My nephew, right? Like, no, they can ping me, I can talk to him later. So it's not just about technology change and all the fancy new phones, but it's how people actually consume that technology as well. So there's the two-sided beast to that technology change coin. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about jumping into technology change and give you some key trends in that area. And then we're also going to talk about the users of technology and how that's changed. And then we're going to give you some tips and tricks at the end to kind of go, okay, how do we kind of market ourselves as a business to these areas based on the technology we're comfortable with and the user segments we're looking to target. But let's talk a little bit about technology evolution, because there's been a huge change in that over the last couple hundred years. Significant change, in fact. So we all know about the steam engine and industrialization, right? The third digital evolution kind of started around 1975, mid-70s, and kind of has gone up until almost roughly this period. And that involved the internet and seamless connectivity. So we've had a huge rush of change in the last probably 2 decades of significant change on the technology internet front. Internet speeds have gotten a lot better. We're connecting on our smart devices and and that's moved along at a very fast pace. And I've got some examples on that. But we're about to enter and have just started to get into the next phase of development on that whole platform, which is network society. Basically, we're moving to have all of ourselves connected and all of the machines that we work with connected. And that's called the Internet of Things, or IoT. You may have heard IoT. So basically, it's connecting, and some of it's already started today. To your smart device, you can connect your home refrigerators, you can connect your security systems, your front doorbell. That's going to expand ubiquitously. That's going to expand to your vehicle. 5G is coming. That's going to enable self-driving vehicles. So a lot of this is going to hit big-time data, big network compatibilities, and you need, with that big data, you need to have that seamless integration. Data's got to move a lot quicker than it used to. And on fiber, it moves super fast, especially if you've got a self-driving vehicle. Hundredths of a second matter, right? Especially at the red light. So speed matters in the new world that we're in and that we're heading into. But let's talk a little bit more about Back to the Future. We all remember this movie. This is one of my favorite movie series of all time, actually. They did 3 of them. First one, I think, about 1985-86. But let's go back maybe 5 or 6 years and just talk a little bit about change over the last 6-7 years and how that's sped up. So in 2012, your mobile phone was still kind of called a mobile phone. People used it for calling people. It really wasn't like it is today in 2019. It's basically a virtual computer. You can pretty much go to a coffee shop and do all of the work you need to work on. You can load it in, play with Excel, add it, send a file, an email. In 2012, you couldn't really do that. The apps. Today, most of the apps are e-commerce based apps. In 2012, 5-6 years ago, a lot of them were just games. If we look at social media in 2012, really in its infancy, and actually Facebook and Twitter were still trying to figure out, how do we monetize these platforms? What do we do with all this data? And can we sell it? And if so, how does it look? Facebook ads, they've come up to be quite significant now. Today, they pretty much touch every corner of our society in terms of being social media icons. The cloud, virtually non-existent in 2012, unless you were a major corporation, you worked for a government. And today, you can have your own personal cloud. You can put your own vacation pictures on it from going to Greece, and you can give your password to your family, and they can log on and look at all of your videos or anything else that you want to share. So that's come down the food chain to be much different than it was 5 or 6 years ago. So this really is a fast forward time, and it's moving us into that network society piece that I talked about. We're on a fast forward motion of collectively sharing a lot of information between us. And what we see on our network, and why we're building a new broadband network, is that we're seeing users on the internet grow from 3 billion to over 4 billion globally. Device connections going from 16 billion internet connected devices to over 26 billion. And video viewing. Today we're seeing almost 8 out of 10, so 80% of the traffic on our data networks are video based. People are reading a lot less. It's more video based. Give me a clip on CTV News rather than a story. So we're seeing those trends. And of course, video versus text takes a lot more bandwidth to deliver to you without any latency, without any pixelization. So that takes more data. So we're consuming data differently. And our network is showing that in terms of the different data we're deriving from our network itself, just to tell us. So data growth, we're seeing 27% year-over-year growth in data on our network with all the web traffic. So that's increasing exponentially. Cloud traffic is growing 30% annually. This is what happens in an internet minute, believe it or not. I find this quite interesting because you can look at it and go, holy cow. On Facebook, we've got almost 1 million logons a minute. So this is every minute of every day on the internet. 24/7, 365. You've got 1 million people logging on to Facebook. At the same time, you've got online spending in e-commerce. So in 2017, we had $751,000 is spent USD online every minute. That's up to $862,000 in 2018, and it's probably going to be close to $1 million by the time 2019 comes up. The interesting trend you see here as well, in addition to 156 million emails sent in 2017, almost 190 million in 1 minute. So that's a lot of data. And this is happening all at the same time. So this is simultaneous activity, right? I think it's interesting though is you can also see different trends. You see the social media trends. One that I like is Instagram. In 2017, they had 46,000 people scrolling through Instagram in an internet minute. In 2018, that was triple, 174,000. So that tells you where some of the new trends. Instagram is kind of the new social media wizard, right? And if you talk to the younger set, like my nephew, he'll say, oh yeah, Facebook, forget it. No way. Everybody's on Instagram now. Right? Interesting trend to watch. But I think it really gives you a sense of what's happening just in 1 minute everywhere around. North America. And this is predominantly North American data. Online shopping. 2012, if we keep with that year theme, online shopping in Canada was about $1,485 per household. In 2018-19, it's roughly $3,100. So it's principally doubled. Alberta has the second highest online e-commerce spend trend in Canada. We're about 30, right on that 3,200. British Columbia leads, they're about 3,300 a household. So that's grown. And what we're finding, to kind of sum up the technology change aspect of our discussion, is that the internet really has become the lifeblood of managing all this information and managing your connectivity with your customers and with your employees and with your suppliers. So the internet's kind of become the river of data that flows in all of the aspects of our lives, whether it's personal relationships, whether it's business relationships, travel, research, data. It's becoming the engine that powers pretty much everything we do now. Okay, so remember we talked about the users of technology. So it's not just about technology change and all the key data points that I just went through. It's about the users of technology. And if we look at attention spans, in the last 10 to 15 years, it's gone from 30 seconds to capture somebody's attention before they move to something else. If you're not being engaged with them as a customer or in a conversation, down to 7 seconds now. So it's very quick. People want information quick, fast. If they don't get it and you don't have right, your mobile website's not where they want it, they're on to the next one. So it's moving very quickly. Now, why is that? Maybe the millennials have something to do with it. And this is not a millennial bash party. Because I think they can teach us some interesting things about what's happening. So let's talk a little bit about Gen Y specifically and Gen Z. Some people group these both together as the millennials, but more specifically the millennials we're talking about are people between 29 and 37. They were born between 1982 and 1989-90, and some of these dates have, there's a bit of gray area around them. Today they make up 27% of Canada's population. Then you have the post-millennials who were born 1990 to 99, so they're the 90s kids. I never probably saw the first Back to the Future in the theater. And they make up about 18% of Canada's population. But together, these two tech-savvy generations account for almost half of Canada's population. So they do things differently, which is why we want to talk about millennials. So they spend roughly hours per week on Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, YouTube, 15, 10. So they're spending quite a bit of time online. There's more data that I have there coming up. But more importantly, this is the age on the bottom when they got their first device or desktop computer. Which, if you're older than these two generations, didn't happen until you were quite a bit older than that. Like 22 or older, maybe even 32 or older. So that's a significant difference. They grew up with technology. So they're always known for being connected. And the internet, in some circles, is kind of like every millennial's third parent. So they're always known for being connected. They've never known a time without a cell phone, in particular a smartphone. And they've always lived with access to information electronically. No Encyclopedia Britannica in their house, right? Now, importantly, we did talk about the millennial generation, and they make up today about 27% of Canada's overall population. However, in about 2015, that switched on the workforce side. Today, they make up about 40% of Canada's work population. And that's a significant shift, because when you think work, you think income. They're now making income, and they're making spending decisions for themselves personally and for the businesses that they work with. They tend to live online. Right now, a millennial will spend roughly 80% of their media time or 36 hours a week on the internet. Whereas I'll go home and I'll have a big television, not quite this big, to watch my game, right? And I got my Barca Lounger there, and I'm like in bliss. But they'll watch a movie on an airplane on a screen like that big. So it's different. And that's okay. We just need to embrace the difference and understand how we can work a little better together. So 36 hours a week, that's after work time. That's not like at work, surfing around. That's their leisure time. Smartphone is their device of choice. And that's another really important piece of information that you can take away as a business owner. That they're not having a big desktop at home or a laptop. Most of the time, their preference is a small device. So that changes your marketing a little bit, right? So smart device, definitely their preferred connection to the internet, friends, colleagues. Their e-commerce habits are a little different. What's the phrase? Money can't buy you friends, but 95% of millennials reference friends as a very credible source of product information and service information. So 4 to 5 regularly source online reviews prior to making a business decision about a purchase or something else that they might be doing for work. So they share, they like, they buy. That's different. Online shopping, boy, do they do that differently too. And even when they're shopping at your bricks and mortar location, 80% pay with debit. Some are even now using cash. We saw cash today, $50 bill, imagine that. But some are going back to cash. I was in the grocery store a couple weeks ago, and a young couple ahead of me was paying for their groceries in cash. They're debt averse. They've been through, in particular in the United States, not as much in Canada. So again, these percentages you want to take with a grain of salt, a little bit. But because of the financial crisis in the United States 10, 12 years ago, they saw their parents hit a brick wall in terms of the mortgage crisis in the US and the housing crisis, and they didn't want to get into debt like their parents were, or have the debt perception of dealing with Visa and MasterCard. So they pay with debit, or they use PayPal or a payment app. So 1 in 4 will even use a payment app. So you could bet that Visa and MasterCard are currently hunkered down somewhere in their Manhattan strategy centers going, what are we going to do? How are we going to get this generation to like credit? And how can we change it? So a lot of times now you see on your debit card, it'll have the word Visa on it. You see that now? So it's a debit card, but it says Visa on the bottom, or Visa debit. So they're playing with some of these technologies right now. They tend to be less influenced by advertising. They engage with brands on social media. They value authentic. So if you say as a business that you're donating X to Y as part of your nonprofit or as part of your profits that you're donating to certain things, you better be backing that up, because they'll go and search it out and find out if you really are doing that. And overall trend online, sometimes they'll walk into a bricks and mortar store just to compare pricing, then go online to compare. Then they might buy it online, they might buy bricks and mortar, but they will come into bricks and mortar. It's not as if they're averse to that, but they do a lot of research online. That's where you tend to find them. So in terms of digital trends to watch, we see a future moving forward that is a lot more interactive, more mobile, more connected, more real time, and more people-centric. And when I say people-centric, I want to talk about McDonald's. Does somebody here work at McDonald's? Aha. Okay, so you guys made a huge purchase about 2 months ago as a corporate entity, I should say. McDonald's bought this company called Dynamic Yield. And Dynamic Yield is a company based in the United States and I think in Israel. And they're a company that started 7 years ago, and they make personalization of data their core asset. So McDonald's bought the company, and it's the first time McDonald's has bought a company in 2 decades. So McDonald's does not move fast in this space, but if they see something, they're through the drive-through in a hurry. So they're looking to actually create some personal experiences with their customers by buying this company. So what might that look like in the future at McDonald's? So let's say it's a nice hot day like today. They're going to be varying their electronic menu boards based on the temperature outside. So on a hot day like today, they're going to have more McFlurries bouncing up, more milkshakes, regional menu preferences that pop up, versus a colder day where they're going to have hot coffee, hot chocolate, those types of things pop up, hot apple pies. So based on the regional weather forecast, that's going to impact how they're marketing to their customers. Drive-through. So let's say, hey Larry, you're close to McDonald's. Last time you came in, you had a Big Mac, a large fry, and a root beer. Would you like that again? Just press your button. We'll have it for you either for pickup inside in 4 minutes or at the drive-thru. Easy peasy. Don't have to guess. Don't have to read anything. Don't have to talk to anybody. It'll pop up on your phone. That's some of the planning. McDonald's is not quite there yet, but they bought this company 2 months ago to go down this stream of personalization, to make the conversation with you as their customer more seamless. And based on their product set, they can push different things and pull different things back with you and have more of a dialogue. McDonald's knows what I like, and they're going to give me what I want without even me asking all the time. And how handy is that? So the theme coming up that McDonald's is really tapping into is this theme of personalization of data and information, which can be admittedly a very touchy subject. But if you give McDonald's permission to have a dialogue with you and they're one of your favorite customers or companies, then that's probably a relationship that you're going to be building. And notice I'm talking about relationships with customers, relationships with product sets. And this is where things are moving in terms of that data mining. Hence why they bought Dynamic Yield, a company who's very savvy at it. Interesting trend. So the effects of all of these demographic and technology shifts now means it's not the same old internet, which is why we're spending money in building a new broadband network. So upload speed is almost more critical than download speed for businesses today. Really, it fundamentally is. And when you think, what's the difference between upload and download, Larry? Tell us what the difference is. Well, typically on our old copper network, you could get a download of, let's say, 150 meg down. But your upload is 10. So if I'm sending an email or a large file to somebody, and I'm sending that, when I hit enter on my computer, that's my upload speed. So I'm sending something out to somebody. An email, a server update, some pictures to the cloud for my family to view, an insurance claim, my government tax files, anything that goes up. Now, a lot of times, if your upload speed is too slow for the size of the document that you're sending, in other words, you got 4K pictures, right, or a 4K video, or a large tax file to the government, that's taking a long time to go. And it may not go. It may actually time out. You may think you sent your taxes in before the deadline, 1 minute before midnight, but then you wake up in the morning and go, oh, it didn't go because it timed out. So if you're a business and things are timing out, your customer expectation is not anywhere near it needs to be. So our upload and download speeds are the same. We have 150 down on our fiber network, and the speeds are the same up, 150. So that means when you hit enter on a document, it's gone instantly. Now, how does that play out in the real world? Let me give you my example. My example is I work remotely. So my boss is in Vancouver. She calls me up 5 minutes before 10. Larry, can you send me your presentation that you gave to the Drumheller Chamber? I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. So in other words, in 5 minutes. Okay, no problem. I'm on fiber at home. I know I can send this 40-slide deck to her in about a minute and a half. If I have a slow upload speed, like I'm on copper and I have a 10 meg upload, this document's not going for at least half an hour. So what that means for me is I can work remotely wherever I have enough internet speed. And the millennials love that too, by the way. So for example, we can now live, if I'm a family member in my household with my wife, in Drumheller. I don't have to live in Calgary. I can live in Revelstoke. Anywhere that I can get the right speed profile on our fiber network, I can live. So you don't need to be living in Vancouver in these expensive homes next to your boss, right? So you can get into the office. So work is also changing moving forward. And data speeds allow us to do things differently in 100 different ways. So I'm just painting you some very quick examples of how things can modify. Work is one of them. We've talked to people in Revelstoke who got permission to move from Calgary to Revelstoke for lifestyle reasons. Her and her husband love hiking outdoors and skiing in the winter, and Revelstoke has Telus fiber, so she got permission to move there. So lifestyle choices are driving based on where technology is. So it's kind of a neat story. So you don't have to live, if you've got the right speeds, in the larger centers anymore. So that may change how things shift out in terms of where people decide to move or not move. And gives an opportunity for places like Drumheller, from an economic development perspective, to try and woo people to come move here. You're close enough to Calgary, major airport, a lot less cost, lower cost of living, a more community-oriented feel to Drumheller than Calgary. There's lots of pluses. So upload is really important, and you can get that on our network. Okay, this is what you don't want to have happen. This thing stall on you. Okay, so yeah, comment here is that we really live in a customer-engaged society. Things are moving very forward, and it's a chance for you as a business to rethink your customer engagement a little. So I've got a very brief video to show you. It's about 1.5 minutes long. And Cam and his wife own a couple of restaurants in Calgary. And you'd think, hey, it's a bricks and mortar restaurant. How tech savvy can they be? Have a look. Oh. Let me go back. Let's try that again.
My name is Cam, along with my wife Jack. We own 3 awesome restaurants: Wine Bar Kensington, Brasserie Kensington, and Container Bar. Serve small snacks, support local producers, make everything in-house, and serve some really cool wine. We've been here for 9 years, and I feel we're kind of a pillar in the Kensington neighborhood. We switched over to the pure fiber network with Telus probably about 2 years ago, and it was actually quite an easy transition. Speed was an extremely important part of the switchover process because these restaurants, it's not a slow environment, and I need results fast. Using the services, just our POS, which to bring in food, our Wi-Fi, which we connect customers to, and not only our back office. We need Wi-Fi for our payment systems. We're connected to a music streaming service. And we have a reservation system, social media. Our business runs online, and that's just the way the future is. Working with Telus and the Pure Fiber Network, I would definitely recommend it to any of my colleagues in the industry because it's been super consistent and love the speed and working all together. It provides just a better atmosphere and more connections. We're known for what we do, and I'm proud of our quality and proud of our value. If we can provide year after year good service and Telus provides that for us, then that makes me happy.
So Cam talks about food and wine, but he also talks about his customer-focused technology. So it's more than just kind of flipping around as, hey, I'm open for business sign, right? He talked about Wi-Fi, point of sale, streaming music, open table reservations off his website and social. So anybody at 2 in the morning, if they're online and they want to make a reservation, they don't have to wait till the restaurant opens at 11 to book. They can do it right there. So handy, convenient. Their payment system, and of course their web and social presence. So really it's just, they live in a digital ecosystem managing their expectations with their customers and the experience they want to have with their customers. But a lot of it's technology driven, believe it or not. Behind the scenes, you don't really notice it. And a lot of us just take it for granted. And I wanted to bring it up just to illuminate the fact that, yeah, it's a restaurant, but there are so many things going on, technology-wise, that you need to pay attention to. So let's talk a little bit about technology and your digital journey as a small business owner or as an employee. So firstly, start thinking about, okay, how do we manage our relationships with our different customer segments? Do we treat every customer the same, or do we, in terms of our marketing messages, or are we kind of modifying how we're looking at different things? So what's the experience we want, and are we overlaying any of that new demographic reality that's out there at all? And if you're not even touching any of the online aspects of maybe reaching out from a marketing perspective or digitally, maybe you're missing a quarter of your market. I don't know. But it's something to just think about. How do we talk on different levels with different customer segments? What are our customer segments? So that's probably step one. The other thing is, how are we going to get involved in this technology stuff when it's so complicated? I don't understand half of it. Lean on a local expert. Lean on somebody who knows how some of this stuff works, right? Digital marketing tools, local expertise, and it's a lot less money than you think it is. 5 years ago, maybe even 8 years ago, when things were really in its infancy and moving forward, you could spend quite a bit of money. Let's say $10,000 plus to get yourself set up properly. But today, you could probably do it for $200, $300, $400 a month, maybe $5, maybe less. But maybe that's the first year, and that gets you started into it. And you get used to managing some of that on your own, or your staff does. And then you can cut your costs. But at least if you lean on an expert to get involved, you get involved the right way, you can learn a few things, and then maybe take on some of that yourself as time moves on. So it's not totally out of the realm of being cost effective to lean on an expert. Connect with purpose, like focus on your strengths, build stronger customer relationships by connecting with your audience in the right place at the right time. So meet your audience where they're already spending time, typically on the internet. You're going to find a lot of people out there. So if you don't have a presence, think about that connection process, leveraging an expert, but then when you do connect with purpose. Like, how can you help your customer the lower effort path? Can you make it easy for them in a certain way, like McDonald's wants to do? That's a sophisticated, make it easy process, but there are maybe ways you can kind of craft it into your business. Optimize the search. So search engine optimization is probably one of the key things where you do need an expert. You do need somebody who can help set you up the right way. And there's probably an ongoing tweak and a different aspect to that algorithm going forward. It's using Google keywords, making sure you've got error-free text in anything that you put out there. This is funny too. Use quality images, but don't think you need to use Shutterstock stuff. That's just like absolutely perfectly lit with the right background. Like if you just take some snapshots of your business and some of your things that you've got going on in your own backyard, it's authentic. And it's genuine, and people like that. Don't feel you have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on these really cool wild splash images, because people just pass them by anyway. But if you can add a bit more authenticity to what your marketing message is, I think it ties together a little easier. Plus it's cheaper. Rethink your domain. Is there a better domain to use? Same with your email. Make sure that you, like Telus can offer you a telus.net email, no problem. But we tell all of our customers, get your own domain. Yes, you can have, Jimmy's Garage at telus.net, but it's much better if you have Jimmy at jimmysgarage.com or .ca, because then you're getting the customer thinking about Jimmy and Jimmy's Garage, not at whatever it might be. So again, it's about brand imaging and making sure that you're connected. And guess what? You're keeping up with the Joneses in terms of having the right domain, because if you've got any millennials as your customer segment at all, they're going to see this telus.net and go, oh boy, these guys need to put it. And then rethink like your regular updates, make them genuine. You don't have to get on there every day and do something funky and wild and have balloon parties and all this crazy stuff and elephants joining your parade. But keep the updates regular, keep them fresh, and keep it as real as you can. So yeah, optimize the search. Do you have a mobile-friendly website?
Yes.
Many don't. What we found is that 56%, and you may even read literature that actually has this around 70 now, but 56% of all web searches are done from a mobile now. Again, because you've got enough millennials in the population using their favorite device searching, right? Spending a lot of time online. So the majority of web searches are on mobile and from mobile devices now, or smart devices. And if your website's not mobile friendly, it should be. A lot of times they're ubiquitous. They'll be, there's a mobile and a regular web that just kind of comes into play. So that's key. Fast loading, 7 seconds, right? Remember the attention span difference? That's key. Quality content again. Here's a low-tech, high-touch idea. And it's not fancy, but it's still being digital. And that is email and newsletters to your customers. Ask them if you could, send information to them. You got new product updates, but it's a great excuse to get in touch with them about all the things that are changing in your business, and it's just an email. That's still classified as digital marketing. It's the very low-level basic, but it gets you onto the platform of having a discussion with people at a different level. And you can talk about your new social that you're launching, or something new that's come up. It's a new product. You got a contest or a promotional offer. So it's a great excuse to get in touch with your customer base and keep in the front of their mind that Jimmy's over at Jimmy's Auto, right? And try and personalize the experience where you can. So you're going to have different customer segments. You've got your basic customers that just kind of churn over every year. You got new customers that you just welcome into your business. And you've got customers that maybe you haven't won yet. But you should likely be treating those different segments with a different approach, right? You shouldn't just have one marketing plan for each one of them. You should probably have a different outreach for all of them. So think about how you can personalize that, make it easier for them to work with you. Is there an all-inclusive package you want to give to your regulars, right? Hey, this is easy. We can just add this new feature on. You sell furnaces, you sold them a furnace 2 years ago, we can just give you like a maintenance package for that, and that'll only cost you $100 a year. And that, anything comes up, we'll come and clean it, we'll check it once a year, make it easy, right? So think about that experience that you want to try and impart on the different segments of your customer base. And a final thought is, you know what, we've talked a lot about technology, we've talked about a lot of the users in technology, and all the changes that we're seeing now with new personalization coming. But at the end of the day, the final thought I want to leave with you is that we're still dealing people to people, right? That there is a human factor to all of these pieces, and what we're trying to do is make sure that it's useful, practical, and fits into your life as a business owner, and the products you're offering, and those of your customers. And that's it. We've covered a lot of turf. You guys are probably like all zoned out now. Oh man, that's a lot of information. If you want a copy of this, I'd be happy to send it to Marley in a PDF, and you can send it out if you want.
Yeah, you bet.
If you're interested. But if you guys have any questions, Lana and I would love to take them. I don't know how